Hi, and welcome back again. Today I wanted to talk about trusting yourself. Our ability to trust ourselves is something that's directly correlated to us being able to make decisions in our lives that we stand behind in figuring out our calling. Trusting ourselves can be really, really hard, especially if we've made mistakes in the past or we feel that we've let people down or let ourselves down. It's difficult to approach new situations and new decisions and trust that we will find our way through and find the right answer and then feel good about it. I think in the same way that we wrestle with trusting other people, like say in a relationship, we do it out of a form of self-protection. We want to protect ourselves from being hurt. The thing that we're afraid of is if we put trust in another person and they let us down, we don't want to feel that pain. And in the same sense, when we put trust in ourselves to make a decision or to do something and let ourselves down, we really don't want to feel that pain either. And that's a pain that we can't even put on anyone else. So I think that trusting ourselves might be even scarier than trusting another person. But trusting ourselves is so crucial to building and maintaining a healthy relationship with ourselves. It's an act of self-love. Trust is an ambiguous and scary, uncertain thing because it requires faith. Stepping into the dark and expecting, hoping, and praying that we will be okay. So trust is really hard because there's no direct evidence of it at the moment that we step into it. It's something that gains clarity over time or in hindsight. Something we struggle with a lot in relationships is trusting someone out of a fear that we will be proven wrong. We would rather protect ourselves and not be trusting than to trust and end up hurt and embarrassed and damaged in a way. This is something a very wise friend talked to me about the other day. What's on the flip side of that is if we do decide to give someone the benefit of the doubt, we are taking a leap of faith. Trust is a gift, it's an offering. We're putting the ball in their court to prove us right or wrong. And it's not about being proven right or wrong, but it's just that taking the responsibility off of ourselves is a freeing act. It's a more peaceful resolution to decide to trust if it feels good to, and then to face the evidence, whether it's to the positive or negative. So if we trust someone and they come through and make us feel good about that trust we put in them, it reaffirms that trust again and again. If they let us down and betray that trust, then we know that there's an issue with that trust with that person. The feeling of being let down and having that trust betrayed, if it happens, is not necessarily worse than protecting ourselves, not trusting in the first place, closing ourselves off out of a fear of being let down and looking naive. That's exactly the way trust operates with ourselves. We do the same thing with ourselves that we do in a relationship with another person. We might be afraid to trust ourselves and choose to protect ourselves instead and block ourselves from doing certain things and making certain decisions and making certain commitments. Whereas if we took a leap of faith and gave ourselves the benefit of the doubt and trusted something that we decided or committed to, and then allowed whatever happens from that to happen, if we let ourselves down, that is going to be a challenge to work through. But that's where the importance of self-forgiveness, acceptance, and self-soothing comes in, because we all make mistakes. None of us know what we're doing 100% of the time. We have to take leaps of faith and we have to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and take risks in order to have anything come to fruition. When those things do work out and when we do surprise ourselves and meet our expectations or exceed them, that's a beautiful thing. And like in a relationship, it reaffirms that trust and makes it even stronger. One practice that's really important in building a sense of trust in self is if we've let ourselves down in the past or we feel we have and we've made some mistakes, it's important to look back at those mistakes and forgive ourselves and allow ourselves to heal from them, because we're really hard on ourselves and we carry those mistakes. Forgiveness of self is just as, if not more important than forgiving another person. I mean, they're the same thing. And that just requires compassion. Looking back at ourselves in that moment in time and whatever it is that happened, and having compassion for ourselves, treating ourselves the way that we would treat someone else who came to us with an apology or with a request for forgiveness. So a way to work on building trust is to start making decisions and take actions and see our way through them. And that can start in some really, really small ways. Because trust in self is such a personal exercise, doing things alone and seeing them through is a way to build that relationship with yourself. If you're someone who struggles with self-trust, then you may also be someone who struggles with being alone. Being alone is an act of trusting yourself to the highest degree. Like if you are alone hiking, you need to rely on yourself to know where you're going, to know how to get home, to know how to protect yourself. It's the ultimate act of self-reliance. And I know that it's something that's always made me really uncomfortable, is as much as I enjoy being alone at home where I'm supported and I'm familiar and I'm used to everything, if it comes to something like going out to eat alone or going to see a movie alone or even going out to grab a drink alone, those can be challenging acts of trust in ourselves to just be on our own. What are you going to be like when you're alone? How are you going to interact with yourself and the world around you? Giving ourselves the opportunity to be in the world and in unfamiliar places alone presents those situations where we have to rely on ourselves and trust ourselves. And maybe we come back from that outing alone feeling like we accomplished something or like we enjoyed our own company. Another really helpful way of building trust in yourself again is hindsight, using the gift of hindsight and reflection to look back at your life, at the things you've accomplished and the times where you have come through for yourself. We are so good at looking back at all our mistakes and regrets and all the times we've let ourselves down and let other people down. We're not as good at looking back and celebrating the things that we've succeeded at and the things that we've pulled through on and done a really good job on. Look at and identify the times in your past where you've done something really beautiful and meaningful, where you made a decision that you know was great for you and was for your own best interest. Even writing all those things down and looking at it as a list of all the times you've come through for yourself can be a really nurturing and motivating way to re-engage with that trust in yourself again. In many ways, we're already engaging in the act of trust in huge and almost ridiculous ways, like expecting that we're going to wake up the next day, expecting that things will be the same tomorrow as they are today, expecting that we're not going to fall off the planet. We are literally just floating in space. We're in this body and we're just going to do the things we do. So we're already practicing trust in some very interesting ways. How much worse is it to put some faith and trust in ourselves to live this life and reality in a way that can serve us? The issue we might run into with accepting a lack of trust in ourselves is that we then erode our relationship with ourselves. We erode that love for ourselves, that confidence, the acknowledgement that we are a special, bright, unrepeatable being, that there might be a plan for us that we're capable of walking and that we will be given the tools to see it through. And if we're not trusting ourselves, we're probably putting that trust in the people around us to dictate our path and lead our way. Nobody but us knows our path and truth, the ultimate depth of who we are. As much as the people we bring into our lives and love can know us and see our patterns and even see some of our behaviors that we're blind to, we can't mistake that for them knowing us better than we know ourselves, because we do know ourselves best. We might be hiding from certain truths about ourselves, and it might be challenging to face things about ourselves, so sometimes we feel surprised by what we find, but we do know ourselves better than anyone else can. Anyone else that tries to guide our path is going to do that from their own unique vantage point. The catch-22 with putting too much trust in other people to dictate our lives is that they will inevitably let us down because they don't know as well as we do. And that can just, create a pattern of consistently trusting and being let down by other people, never consulting that trust within ourselves. So I hope that that topic was interesting and kind of helped shed light on where you might struggle with some of the same challenges. If you liked this video, you'll probably enjoy my other videos. I usually talk about these sorts of topics, and I also have an Instagram account that you can follow where I do a lot of writing about my personal journey and growth and different self-realizations. And I'm also working on starting up a podcast that's going to be on a lot of broad topics similar to this, but things like death and love and sex and dreams. So I'm really excited because I'm going to be talking about those different topics with different people in my life who I really love and respect, and I think that those will make for some good listening. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.